Greetings and salutations. I am your humble Adobe instructor, AJ Wood, and this is a PSD Touch tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to use the 3D tools inside of Photoshop CS5 to create a planet in space. Alright, let's get started. You can see on the screen in front of you that I've already prepped a background layer with our space scene. What I'm going to do is go to the Layers panel, click on the New Layer icon, take my cursor, double click the text of layer 1 so I can label that, and we'll call it planet. I'm then going to go to the menu and choose 3D, then new shape from layer, and convert that layer into a sphere. Now I've created a 3D layer from a 2D layer, and so that you can appreciate it, I'm going to go to the 3D panel, click on Sphere Material, and I want you to see that there are a bunch of preset materials that come with Photoshop. I'm just going to click on one and then go immediately to my 3D tools. So notice I have a set of 3D tools that will let me affect the object. Now, the tools that you see here right in the toolbar are also available across the top in my options. So I generally pick from the options when I need to change tools. So if I grab the object, I want you to see here I am rotating the sphere. I can roll it. I can go ahead and move the sphere where I want it in the actual drawing, and then I can even scale it up or down inside my canvas. I'm going to take a second and just reset the shape because I don't want to use any of the preset materials. I actually want to provide and place my own background to create our planet. So if I go to the category that is diffuse, this is where I would set color and background. I'm going to go ahead and click on the pull down here, and you can see I can actually open this texture. So I can grab this kind of like a smart object and actually open this texture, and this is actually a Photoshop object file. So if I go to the window menu, I'm inside this PSB, this Photoshop object, and from here I'll go to the file menu and choose the place command. And I'm going to go out and grab my grunge background. This is actually from the newly launched PhotoDune website, and I'll go ahead and place that. And I want you to see I'll just move this into place, snap it there, and I can click on my check or hit enter, and now that texture is placed. I want to make a quick change to it though. I don't like the color, so I'll go to my adjustments panel, go to hue saturation, and let's just drop that and change it. I want it to be a little bit red, and I'll just desaturate it a little bit. Okay, so I think that looks good. Go back to the layers panel. I'm simply going to go to file and close this object. I will save it when prompted. And now we have our planet. So we're starting to get some changes here. This looks pretty good. What I'd like to do though is add even more texture to it, kind of give it some depth. So I want you to see I can also add a bump map. Now a bump map is simply a grayscale image, and in this grayscale image the areas that are white will simply seemingly raise areas in our 3D object, and any area that's black in this grayscale image will make the 3D object appear flat or recessed. So once again, I could create a new texture if I don't have one, but I've actually already created a texture which I'll load. So if I go to load texture, this is actually the same grunge background, but I just desaturated it. So I'll just grab that and open it. And you can see there's kind of a texture. Let me turn it off. So this is hidden. So notice it kind of goes flat, and then this is turned on. The problem is though, all I did was just desaturate. I just made kind of a flat black and white. I need to really increase the contrast in that. So I want you to see if I go back to my bump setting, I'm going to go and open that texture. And what I need to do is really make this high contrast. Lots of black, lots of white. So the best way to do that, just go to Image, Adjustments, Levels, and I'm just going to bump up the blacks and actually increase the contrast here. That looks really good. So nice, very high contrast. That's going to be a lot better for depth in our bump map. And once again, I'll choose File, then Close. Go ahead and save this. And you can see the difference that makes in the file. So once again, I'll go to the Layers panel, I'll hide the bump map. This is the image flat. This is with the bump map activated. Now what's nice about this, that bump map is going to react to the lights. So I'm going to grab our rotate tool. I do want to rotate the surface of the planet. So give me a second to do that. I think I really like this side here. This bump map is actually going to react to the lights, which is why it's great to have. So next thing we want to do is actually change the lighting on this 3D object, our planet. I've been using the Object Rotate tool, and now I'm going to use the Light Rotate tool. If I click on this, you can't actually see the pins that control the light. I can do that by either clicking here directly in the tool panel. Now I apologize if the menu gets cut off, so I'm going to take you to the View menu where you can also go to Show, and I'm going to do 3D lights so I can see those pins. So here are the pins that control the lights on our planet. I can grab these and just simply pull these, and notice how it's changing the light in the scene. So notice as I'm pulling away, that's changing the overall light in the scene. And I can choose how I want the lights to fall. Hey, there we go. I want to give some shadow on that one side. So I do want to have some light here. I'm going to give a little bit of shadow. I think I'm going to rotate the face of the planet just a little bit. There we go. I want to see that. That's good. And go back. And I'm just toggling here in the 3D panel between the lights and the object to get the setting that I want. Right? And I'll put just a little bit of light there in the front so we can kind of see that texture. So here I'm actually adjusting those lights. And what I want to do now is I want to add some atmosphere. Okay? And to do that, I'm going to make another 3D object. But it's important that the lighting matches. So I want you to see, I can go to the 3D panel, click the flyout menu, and I'm going to save these lights as a preset. So I'll just simply call this planet. I'll hit save. Now I've got that light setting saved as a preset, and I'm going to make a new 3D layer. So I'll click on the new layer icon in the layers panel. I'm going to go ahead and just label this, hey, our atmosphere. And what I'll do for the atmosphere is I'm going to just go to the filter menu, go to render and clouds. Now please note, my foreground color is black, my background color is white. So I'll do filter render clouds, and you can see there it is. I go right to the 3D menu, choose new shape from layer, make that a sphere. So here I have another sphere. If I hide it, it's covering our planet. And what I want to do is blend these two layers together. So even though this is a 3D layer, I can go to my Layer Styles button, and I can actually change my blending options. And notice here I can blend this with the layer below. So here's the clouds. They look kind of choppy, and that's okay. What I need to do is hold the Option key on a Mac or the Alt key on a PC, and I'll split that fader. Once the fader is split, now you can see that looks a lot better for our atmosphere. So I think I like that. I'll probably rotate it a little bit. I'm going to do that by clicking OK. I'm going to change to our 3D rotate tool, and notice I can actually move the atmosphere. So I'm just going to kind of rotate this. Right, there it is. I can also go and change the opacity on it if I want to just make it kind of drift off a little bit. But what I really need to do is make the lighting match. Right? So notice I've got the pins. I could change to my light rotate tool, and I could try and move these manually and guess where I had the lights. But it's so much easier to go to the flyout menu and replace the light presets with the one I saved before. So here's our planet preset that I saved a moment ago. I'll go ahead and hit open. Now the lights match. Right? And once again, I could grab my object rotate tool, and if I want to play around with the atmosphere, I can move this and get it kind of set up where I want. So I've got lots of choices and how I want that to look. So I think this actually works out okay. So now I've got a little bit of atmosphere over the planet. I think it's time to add some rings. So let me go ahead and hide the lights. So I'll go to View, Show. I'm going to hide the lights. And let's just add a ring to this planet to close it up. Okay? So to do that, once again, I'll use a new layer. Right? And on this new layer, I'm going to grab my elliptical marquee. I'm going to hold the Shift key and make an elliptical selection. Okay? Size is a little bit bigger than the planet. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered. I just want to kind of eyeball it and make it larger than the planet. There's the selection. I'm going to go ahead and just fill this with white so that you can see it. And notice the selection still on the screen. I'm going to go to the Select menu, go to Modify, and I'm going to contract the selection. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and contract this. I'm going to contract this about 20 pixels. I don't want it to be a really thick ring. So I'll click OK. Hey, this is going to end up being our ring. And what I need to do is I'm going to copy this selection to a new layer. Right? So I'm going to copy this to a new layer. I'll use the keyboard shortcut, which is Command J on a Mac or Control J on a PC. So if I just point you to the Layers panel, notice I have two layers. Layer 1 is the larger white circle. Layer 2 is the smaller one. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select Layer 1. I'm going to take my cursor and Command click if you're a Mac, Control click if you're a PC. Look at my cursor. It's going to load a selection. I'm loading Layer 2 as the selection while I have Layer 1 highlighted. I'm simply going to hit the Delete key. That knocks out the center. The reason you can't see it, you need to throw away Layer 2. So let me drag Layer 2 to the trash can, and you can see I've punched out, hey, and we've made our ring. Right? So I made two selections, punched out the smaller circle through the larger one. Now I can deselect. This is going to be our ring. How am I going to do that? I load it as a selection by Command or Control clicking on the layer. I will go to the 3D menu and I'll run the new Repose feature on our current selection. This brings up Repose. I'll put it on the screen so you can see it. I want you to see if I rotate this slightly, I've got a cylinder. Hey, I don't need that cylinder to be so thick, so I'll change the depth to 0. Here is our ring, and I can choose how I want it to face. I think I want it to look just like this. I'll tilt it a little bit so that you can see it. I can actually move the ring in space. It's going to go right about here. Again, I can tilt it and play with it. Okay, so I want it to look kind of like this. Maybe we actually tilt it at an angle a little bit. Okay, I think that'll be good. And again, I'm just kind of positioning this. I'm kind of eyeballing where I think I want it to go. So that should be okay, I think. Now, there's a big gray area in the center, and I need to knock that out. Okay? The way that I can knock that out is by going to this section. I'll hold the cursor so you can see it. It says Internal Constraints, and what I'll do is change the type from inactive to a whole. That's going to punch it out. Now I have our ring. Okay? So you could play around with the position, but I'm going to leave that for right now. I'll simply click OK. This is now a 3D layer. It is our ring. I'll go ahead and label it, hey, for good measure. There's the ring. What I need to do is add a layer style. So once again, I'll go to the layer style button down at the bottom, pick this up, and right here I'll go ahead and add an inner glow and an outer glow. But I got to change the blending options. So I'm clicking on the word blending options so you can see the inner and outer glow. I'm going to change the fill opacity to 0. Now I can edit the properties of my glow. So this is the inner glow first. I'll increase the size to fill the ring. See? So I'm increasing the size to fill the ring, but it's semi-transparent. Then I can change the color. I think I'm going to use a little bit darker color here. There we go. That should work. And then I'll change the outer glow. I'll go ahead and make that also a darker color so that you can see it. And then I'll increase the size to make it kind of soft. So here is a ring around our planet. I could move it by using my object and my 3D tools. So if I need to fine-tune this, once again I can use my move tool, kind of move this in place, get it where I want. I think that'll be fine. And I need to add a mask. We need to just mask out the back side of the ring. So I simply make sure the ring layer is selected. I'll go to my button at the bottom that says Add Layer Mask. I'm going to go and grab my brush tool. And remember, as they say, white is going to reveal that ring. Hey, black. Painting black is going to conceal it. So I'll go ahead and paint the mask black. one stroke of the brush. There we go. Clean up on this side. And now, this is our 3D planet, 3D ring. This is Photoshop CS5. My name is AJ Wood. Thank you for joining me today for this PSD Touch tutorial, and I hope to see you again soon.